What is with queer people and like liking paranormal stuff and also musicals? Hey, it's Ali. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about Dead End Paranormal Park. I know I'm late. Happy Halloween. Well, I'm filming this on Halloween. Obviously, it won't come up until later, but I feel like we had to talk about Dead End Paranormal Park. It is criminally underrated, and if it wasn't for like 3 people on my Twitter who I'm mutuals with talking about the show, I would have never actually gotten into the show, which is crazy. This show is so good. Dead End Paranormal Park is an animated TV show on Netflix that is based off of Dead India, which is a series of graphic novels made by Hamish Steele, which based off of the cartoon short Dead End on Channel Federator. Everything comes back to Channel Federator. So technically, I am late to the party. But honestly, in doing research for this, I realized that the first season came out in June of this year, and then the second season came out in October of like this past month. So I am late, but not that late. Still 5 months late, but hey, I'm here now to talk about it, and I want to talk about it. I wanted to particularly look at the found family in this show because, number one, I think it is the strongest point of this show and something that I feel like not a whole lot of cartoons are doing, like, well. I think it takes a very unique spin and dives deeper into found family as being one of the core structures of the show instead of it just being a byproduct as we see in, like, a lot of other shows. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, along with my own review of this show. So if at any time you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe because I make videos like this all the time. And do y'all like the lights? You know, happy Halloween, you know. I've had these lights for a while now, a couple of videos. This will be like my 3rd video filming with it, so I hope you like it. Also comment down below, I guess, your favorite episode. Mine, a hint to mine, there's an entire section about it in this video. So let's get into it. So a little background on the show. The show is set in Pauline Park, an amusement park dedicated to the great actress superstar Pauline Phoenix, specifically following Norma, who is this Indian girl who is obsessed with her, and Barney, who is a trans man, and his dog Pugsley, who have run away from home. Both end up working at the park and have to deal with spooky things. Ooh. It's just demons. It's just straight up demons. They're dealing with demons. And they have another character, Courtney, who is also a demon who helps them out along the way. Also, side note, Courtney is played by Emily Osment. Like, hello, Emily. Girly. I did not like, hello, cyberbully, Hannah Montana superstar, girl boss, slay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So a lot of people who have worked on some of your probably favorite cartoons have worked on this show. So you can obviously see the inspiration that is taken from Gravity Falls, both in its aesthetic, its humor, and in the art style itself. I'd like to think, though, I really, really like the unique spin on this art style. Like, we always talk about cartoons and how, oh, they all have similar art styles nowadays, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I don't think that's true. But I think that this show specifically has a very unique art style. You can see the influences from shows like Gravity Falls, but honestly, altogether, I think that the show has its own unique art style. I love the designs, especially of the demons and stuff like that. Love that. Love Slender Man. It's just straight up Slender Man. Love him. The first thing that really drew me to this show in terms of like uniqueness was the fact that it was set in an amusement park. And like, first of all, that's genius because the way they have it set up is that every episode where they go to a different section of the park, they can just keep doing that forever. Like, we never get a full map of the park and we never see every single like section of the park. So at any point in time, they could just be like, oh, we're going to this new section of the park. I won't be surprised if like next season, the 3rd season, they'd be like, oh, there's another like offshoot section of this park that you have to take a tram to get to, like Disney World, because that's what it's giving. It's giving Disney World. Of course, along with all of the demon designs, I love all of the character designs. My cats are scrapping right now. They're just like staring at each other. Anyway, of course, I love all of the character designs. Barney specifically, hello. We got a trans man, but not just a trans man. We got a plus size trans man. Come on, blue hair pronouns. Yes. I was immediately like taken aback the second that like I am trans came out of Barney's like mouth, because we all know cartoons. We all know the showrunners and are trying their fucking best when it comes to this. Because speaking of which, something that I actually see a lot of discourse about is the fact that like Barney gets to say that he's trans, but with Norma, she gets to say that she's bi, but we don't get to hear her say that she has autism, which is something that has been confirmed by the creators that she is on that spectrum. And honestly, to that I say the showrunners are trying their best. I'm not trying to be like, a dick writer or anything, but it's like they're trying their fucking best. Like, come on now. The fact that Barney can even sit there and say that he's trans, like, straight out for like first, second episode, like, that's insane to me that we have gotten that far already within my own lifetime. So like, I feel like we'll get there. Just, if you're gonna direct your anger somewhere, I don't think it should be at the showrunners. I think it should be at the production companies that are forcing the showrunners to not be able to say these things. Also, the fact that like Barney is a main character and not just like some side character, because we get that too usually. The fact that like Barney, the trans man, is the like main character, that's insane. We're like, what? Please tell me where we have seen that before, especially within a cartoon. I'm clear to say nowhere. I really am, because I can't think of any, especially in a show that may or may not be for children. We'll get to that in a second. But like the fact that he is the main character is extremely important and like monumental. But back to the actual characters, I really like Barney. I like his like anxiety. I love particularly that his anxiety isn't solved within a day. His anxiety about stuff isn't like, oh, fixed. Oop, I got friends now and it's all fixed. Like the fact that this carries into his interpersonal relationships, I like a lot, especially as it relates to the whole found family thing. One of the biggest qualms that I have sometimes with shows is like, oh, I have a good friend now. I have a bestie. All of my character development is now done. Like I have, gotten the girl. I've gotten the romantic interest. I've gotten the friends now. We're done here. Like it's done. And something that I really like with recent cartoons like Paranormal Park and like the Owl House and stuff is that we still have to deal with these, like your own internal struggles gets represented and brought out within this group. Like for instance, Barney specifically with his anxiety, just because he now has a boyfriend and he now has like really good friends and a really good friend group doesn't mean that his anxiety of not feeling wanted or loved isn't just gonna randomly go away. He has to constantly deal with that until he can truly learn that that is not the situation that he is in anymore. So I'm glad that his change and his demeanor wasn't just one episode. We had to take multiple episodes for him to like not only feel good about himself, but feel good about his friends and feel actually loved and wanted by his friends and his family, his biological family as well. So how does this all relate to found family? Well, like most cartoons in this weird paranormal genre, there's always a heavy influence on found family, but never explicitly talked about. Despite the fact that the whole interpersonal relationship thing is the whole reason a lot of these characters even get character development in the first place. Shows like Paranormal Park specifically, I think, have a really good grasp on platonic chemistry. Platonic chemistry. Now, I'm not going to mention any shows that don't do this because I don't want to be that type of person. But for me, shows like Gravity Falls and Paranormal Park, they have a very good focus on platonic chemistry. Like the chemistry between Dipper and Mabel as siblings was so important to like the whole of Gravity Falls. It is a centerpiece, and not just between Dipper and Mabel, but also like Mabel and Grunkle Stan and Dipper and Grunkle Stan. Like without that connection, some of the episodes and some of the scenes would not hit as hard as it did. So the same here with Paranormal Park. Paranormal Park has a lot of different episodes and just like things that happen. I'm not going to get into too many spoilers, but without those interpersonal connections and that chemistry between the two, it wouldn't make sense. We'd be like, yeah, okay, like I guess to move the plot along, but the fact you get into it. You just like, that's my family right there. That's my friend group right there. That's how good like the writing is for them. One of the best things that we get to see in this is the fact that like we get to see all of these relationships from the ground up. I feel like a lot of cartoons, especially, we get to see these people being best friends like right away. And yeah, we get to see them go on the rocks of that friendship, but rarely do we ever get to see people make friends, then become friends, and stay friends despite everything that happens to them. And Norma is a very big example of this. She has a very hard time making friends and forming those interpersonal relationships with other people. She finds it very difficult to do. So to have that be like a cornerstone of her character, and then on top of that, still have her make friends, however slowly she does make them, and slowly warm up to the fact of like physical touch and talking to people like normally and not trying to feel like she needs to hide herself or anything like that. That was like a very important cornerstone for her. Same with Barney, but Norma I think specifically, that's very important to her. So we get to see all of that, and that's something that I don't think we see a whole lot in other cartoons, especially as it relates to found family. Maybe with significant others, which is another thing I want to talk on. usually we see, like, if there is a significant other, all of that character development that would happen with, like, friendships and stuff usually just gets pushed to being like, oh, we'll get to know this character and their likes and their dislikes and their boundaries through this romantic relationship, which I don't think there's anything wrong with, but I think a lot of the friends sometimes get pushed to the side for the sake of, like, well, we have this romantic interest that they can just dump all of their shit on. But it's like, we need to also emphasize the importance of, like, platonic friendships as well. Because of that, because Paranormal Park does that so well, that emphasis on not just, like, the main romantic relationship, but also the side, like, friendships as well, all of the side characters get development. Now, of course, they don't get as much development as, like, Norma or Barney, but these characters get enough development to the point where we want them to be there. They get to be a part of the main action, which is something, again, we don't get to see a whole lot in shows. Like, we get to see it now in newer shows, but, like, a little bit of, like, older cartoons. Like, this show specifically, I think, is, like, a show that does it very well. Like, I think modern cartoons are getting better at it, but this show specifically, oh, it does it really well. Having the side characters be a part of the main action, even if it's, like, just a little side piece, they have a very integral part to play at all times, and that makes it feel more like a family. You want to talk about found family, you want to make your characters found family, but then half of the characters aren't even in half of the episodes. Like, please make that make sense. So the fact that we get to see these side characters in majority of the episodes and have them directly interact with the main characters constantly, I actually find it very refreshing that Norma and Barney aren't, like, talking all of the time. Like, they are, but, like, there are episodes where it's just mostly Barney and, like, some other character. It's just Norma and some other character. Fuck, we get Pugsley and some other character. Like, he ends up being an extremely important character later on down the storyline. So I like that we get to see every facet of, like, you know, the kind of star of, like, this person talking to that person talking to this person, instead of just, like, the two main characters talking to each other and they don't really talk to anybody else. Like, sometimes that's played up for goofs and gaffs where you don't get to talk to the side characters, but I like that the side characters aren't just played off as side characters, because they really could be in this show. Like, if we're being honest, they have their moments, but they could also be just pushed off to the side, and I'm glad that they're not, especially as it relates to the romantic stuff in this show. I think there are a lot of times the romantic stuff in this show you could have easily pushed off the other person, like Norma and her romantic interest. Well, not really romantic interest. If you watch the show, you understand. I'm trying not to give too many spoilers, but that whole situation, the other person in that situation could have easily just been pushed to the side. We could have not cared about their feelings at all. But because this show has a great emphasis on found family and a friend group that actually cares about one another, we don't just push that person's feelings away. We just don't go, okay, whatever, bye, like, you're over there. No, we get to see how this affects that person as well. Again, I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but, like, you know, I like that. Same with Barney and Logs. We get to see their relationship together grow from the ground up, really. And, like, again, in a different way than Norma and Barney's relationship. And that's also something that is very important. What are y'all doing? What you doing? This is Shadow. Say hi, Shadow. Okay, she's done with me. She said, put me down. Gotcha. Ooh. And this is Silver. Say hi, Silver. Thank you. Oh. He's fine. He jumped off. Okay. Anyway, they just wanted to say hello. They're, like, running around in my room. Anyway. Yeah, essentially, I'm glad that everyone's feelings get to be taken into account. And because we get these feelings, their bonds grow stronger in every episode. That, by the time my favorite episode comes around, we get to see basically what is the culmination of all of their interpersonal relationships at play that make them such a strong, like, found family. We get to talk about the musical episode. It's my favorite episode to date out of all the 2 seasons. It's my favorite fucking episode. Like, I'm so sorry if you're watching this before actually watching the show and I spoiled the fact that there is a musical episode for you, because I didn't get any of that. I got no spoilers on this show, going in completely cold turkey. And I have the clips. I have clips of me watching this episode because I was so flabbergasted. Like, the fact that this was a musical episode came completely out of left field, smacked me right in the face. Can you see them? No, you can't. but it came completely out of left field, smacked me right in the face, and oh god, I am so happy. Oh, I am so happy. So I'm sorry that was spoiled for you, but now you have something to look forward to. All the songs are written by Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy fame. Yes, absolutely. So of course it slaps. All the songs slap. I immediately, after that episode, went to Spotify. It's not on Spotify. Why aren't the songs on Spotify? People have uploaded them to Spotify, but like the official songs are not on Spotify. What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to fucking do? You need to put them shits on Spotify. Thank you. But I do think this is a really good culmination of everyone's character development in this. We get Barney. I don't know if it was in this episode specifically, but we do get Barney saying to his family, his biological family, that he has a family here at Paranormal Park. Like I said, he ran away from his family. Not going to get too much into spoiler territory, but the fact that he was able to find solace in these other people, even though in the beginning, like, he didn't know if he was going to be able to or not, the fact that he can and has, and he's able to, like, I guess, stand up to his parents and say, like, hey, like, I have a family here, one that treats me a lot better. He says literally out loud, I have a family, and he's talking about, like, his family at Paranormal Park, and just ooh, we don't get to see that. We barely ever get to see that. I can't remember any time where there was some actual found family that we sit here and say we're a family. Like, very few times do I get to actually see that. I feel like it's important to verbally mention that these people are, like, they're your friends, but they are more than, like, your friends in terms of, like, the relationships you have with one another. One of the funny things in this show, despite all of that, though, is the realization that they haven't known each other for that long. Like, this takes place over a summer. It does. But still, and Courtney even says it, like, I haven't known y'all for, like, that long. But I still think, like, it adds to the fact that they are found family, like, to find people who you connect so well with. But finding people that you connect so well with so quickly, it never feels forced. Like, I feel like in a lot of these shows that take place over a short period of time, like a summer, there are a lot of times where we kind of have to breeze through certain, like, relationship things, like platonic or not, we have to breeze through them. Whereas I feel like in this show, at least for on the friendship side, there is a lot that, you know, it takes time. We get to see that it takes time, specifically with Norma and the fact that she is able to set up boundaries. We get to see kind of, like, in these cartoons, it gets really brushed off and breezed by sometimes, and a lot of the relationships get pushed and forced because of that, and it can leave a lot to be desired. But in Paranormal Park specifically, I think they do a really good job of making sure that even if it's only over the course of a couple of days, that these people are going to have to work for their relationships. They're going to have to put in the work to actually care for and take these relationships to heart. I think that's very important. And also the fact that we get to see both sides of everything. Like, I like that we get, like, Norma's side of a situation and we get Barney's side of a situation. We get Logs' side of a situation and we get Badja's side of a situation, you know, that's happening. Even if it's over the course of just a few days, because we get to see everyone's full, like, relationship and full feelings for one another, that makes their bond a lot stronger, a lot quicker. Which brings me to another thing that I want to talk about quickly before I end this, is whether or not this is a kid show. Now, normally, I don't know if this is in the kids section on Netflix. I didn't find it on the kids section on Netflix. I just looked it up. And unless somebody actually, like, told me this was a kid show, I wouldn't have understood that it was a kid show. I feel like this show specifically, and Centaur World specifically, these have, they have the markings of creating their own little subgenre within cartoons. And I think particularly that is, like, this young adult section, like anywhere from ages like 16 to like 25 or something, like the young adult section. Because I feel like right now, and I'm not going to get too much into it because I want to make a whole video about it, but we have adult animation and children's animation, and that's it. And I feel like we need to talk about that because there's freedoms and limitations to both, but I feel like sometimes you get too stuck in the box of, oh, this is a kid show, oh, this is an adult, like, cartoon, and there are a lot of things that kind of get lost in translation because of that, or you feel like you can't do. I feel like this show specifically does a really good job of, like, stating that, hey, this, you know, is kind of for everybody in a sense. And one of the first things that I noticed was the fact that this show doesn't have kids in it. Like, it has kids in it, but like kids are not the main characters. All of the characters are like 17, I think they said, and like they're all in high school, and like and all the other rest of the characters are adults. There are only like maybe a couple of kids that have any like prominent role in the show. And I feel like that's also important too, because yes, while I do believe that you don't have to have like kids be the focal point in order for it to be a kid show or for kids to be able to relate to it, just look at like any Marvel movie. I do believe the fact that they chose to like go with like older teens instead of like kids, like obviously they're out working at a park, they have to be like old enough to work at a park, but the fact that they went for like 17-year-olds instead of like kids in like middle school or elementary school and doing all this paranormal stuff, I feel like is very important. It is very important. But how this all wraps into Found Family is because I think we're able to dive a little bit deeper into interpersonal relationships. When you're kids, of course, kids are going to go through this as well, and it's important for kids to learn all of this stuff and to know what it's like to have interpersonal relationships with friends and whatever. That's important. I'm never going to say that it's not. But with having an older, like a little bit older audience and having kids that are going into adulthood, you can have kids kind of like stand their ground in a sense. Like a lot of these people in this show have to stand their ground against adults. And that's honestly not something you can really do with children. Like you get like, because you're pretty much, you'd be teaching children to like, I guess, rebel, quote unquote. And having teenagers do that is a lot more like you know, coming into your own. It's an important part of like a person's journey as a young adult to come into their own and learn what they won't take, what they will take in their own boundaries. That's really important for a young adult. I can't speak so much about Centaur World because I haven't watched it just yet, but I do think that like this show specifically is kind of like, it's above a step above a kid's show, but not necessarily an adult show. But honestly, I never even noticed that it was a kid's show until like someone said like, yeah, it's a kid's show. And I realized, yeah, they never cursed. There's never any like raunchiness to it, which sucks that like adult cartoons are like basically dumbed down to that. But again, that's another story for another day. But yeah. So, wow. This is a little bit of a shorter one just because I have feelings about the show, but I also really want you to watch it, so I didn't want to get into too many spoilers. Maybe by the time season 3 comes out, I'll do like a full story deep dive. Let me know if you would want that in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a awesome Halloween. And yeah, let me know what you want to see. I have a couple of like other things lined up. Obviously the Dragon Prince is coming out like in November. I'm making a show about that. I'm making a video about that. I think I'm gonna make another video about TMNT, the actual show, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I made one about the movie, but we gotta talk about the show as well. But other than that, like, I'm down for anything. Just let me know down in the comments below. Oh, I think I'm gonna watch what the fuck is it called? Odd Job? Not Odd Job. What is it called? Inside Job, because I think Inside Job, like the second part of season 2 or something like that, is like coming out, and it's been on my list to watch along with Dead End Paranormal Park. So yeah, but other than that, let me know what you want to see down below. Kipo is also still on the list. I know, it's on there. I promise it's coming. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched all the way to the end. You are a real one. All of my social medias are down below. Follow me on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter if you want to talk to me about any of this stuff. I make TikToks now. Come look at my TikToks. Thank you, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace.